Dus ik
Right. Today, we're diving into a deeply personal and powerful conversation about breast reconstruction or choosing not to after a mastectomy at 50 and beyond. Now, this is a powerful topic and close to our hearts, and I think it's maybe time we open up the dialogue. So, joining me today is the remarkable Simone Kreutzer, a woman I have the privilege of knowing as both a truly beautiful soul and a brilliant professional at the ministry. When I asked Simone if she would be willing to share her journey and insights on this often taboo subject, she bravely agreed without a second hesitation. So, Simone, thank you for your courage and your openness. It is a vulnerable topic. So, maybe to start, you share a little bit about yourself and your story so far before we get into the topic.
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Julie. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And if there is one person that I would like to share my personal story with, then it's you. So thank you. Well, yes, my name is Simone Kreutzer. I was born in the south of the Netherlands, in Limburg. From a very warm family with a brother and a sister. I'm married to a lovely husband, and we have 4 children all together. For my job at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I traveled the world and I worked and lived in very different places. In the US, New York, I lived in Afghanistan for 3 years. Then we moved to Palestine, moved back to the Netherlands and then to Brussels. And as of 2023, should check time, we're back in the Netherlands again. So that's me in a nutshell.
That's you in a nutshell.
Yes.
Right. So our topic today is breast reconstruction and mastectomy. And in order to have a mastectomy, often something has to happen before that. So shall we get straight to it? You have had breast cancer, right, Simona? Twice even?
Yes, 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 twice even. That's absolutely true. The first time was in 2019 when we lived in Brussels. The children were very small at that time, and there was absolutely no reason for me to have any doubt that I was in such a bad health
Yeah.
condition. And for no reason, I went to the hospital for another checkup. And thanks to the doctor who was so, persuasive to look into my file, and she sent me for a mammography. And then we discovered that I had breast cancer. So that was in 2019. Complete shock, of course,
Yes.
but yeah, we discovered it more or less on time. So I could do a surgery with saving my breast, and I had, radiation for 30 times. And then I had an anti-hormonal therapy. So I must say, yeah, it went quite well. I mean, I recovered very fast and I felt very active and fine. And then within even 5 years, I discovered for the second time that I had breast cancer. Yeah. And then, I mean, the shock was there, but I was also very much convinced of I want those boobs gone.
Right.
So please
No.
mastectomy, yes.
I mean, already daring talk about it like this, I mean, I think for most of us women, it is probably one of our biggest concerns, that one. So, I mean, already the fact that you had it checked and recently, I think is already a good tip to the audience. Don't put your head in the sand. And it is hard to tell, right? Especially with hormone changes after 50 as well. I mean, we all have a bit like, oh, it feels different. Is this cause for alarm, or am I just being neurotic, or so much is going on in our bodies? But it's to really take those signs seriously and to do what it is. I think another thing definitely in your favor is you've always been a very healthy person and a very sporty person. But I guess it all comes down in a way to mindset in a way. I mean, the first time was shock enough, right? You really were not expecting it. A very young woman with young children, very fit and healthy. And suddenly you come across that and all the fears and all of that comes up. But I mean, I can imagine that a second time is really, I wouldn't say unexpected, because now you've known that first fear of, okay, something coming out of it. I need to get rid of this and I'm going to do everything I can. So I would say your approach to cancer is a very down to earth, pragmatic, what can I do, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. And just to add, I mean, the second time, since the first time cancer, I've done anything that would help me to be even more healthy. So I was sporting, I had a healthy diet, I hardly drank any alcohol. I had my regular checks because I was within this time frame of the 5 years. And of course, I had these anti-hormone therapy. So there is no reason why, it would come back for a second.
Right.
So that shock is absolutely.
And you found it during a check again?
No, the thing is that I had some blood coming out of my breast. And I went to the doctor and they did a mammography and it didn't show anything. The recent discussion about the breast tissue and not being able to see any cancer over there.
Yeah, for the international audience, there is a big discussion in the Netherlands at the moment.
Exactly. Yep. Yes. So concerning the mammography, there was no reason to be concerned. But still, my doctor said, yeah, but it should come from somewhere.
Somewhere.
He was digging into the case and then he sent me for a biopsy. And then they found out that the cancer was back in the same breast.
In the same breast.
Yes. And I don't know what it is, but it's because it's the second time and more or less a bit what the drill is. That sounds weird, but what's about to come. And then it was for me very clear, I just want a mastectomy.
Yeah.
I want this out of my body. And when you have this perspective and you know what you can do, it also gives you like this inner peace.
Right. Because it is a mindset thing, right? Because it is a choice. Let's say we all have a choice, I guess, what we decide to focus on. And in your case, you wanted to make sure that the chances were all on your side. Did you even consider doing something else?
No. It was really from the first moment when I sat down with the oncologist, it was for me clear that I wanted a mastectomy. And then, of course, the medical circuit, they try to discuss with you the several options, etc. And it's okay that they do so because you have to discover all the perspectives. But I was very much convinced that I wanted a mastectomy and no reconstruction. It was also because my husband was very supportive and he was like, okay, we have been through already so much. It's okay like this.
Right.
I think that's also very helpful, of course, when your partner.
Yeah, no, definitely, because it is a very intimate thing as well, right?
Yeah. And then later on, when I talked to different doctors, I found out that also in my case, it was even not possible to do reconstruction, a simple reconstruction, because I had radiation 30 times, and the breast tissue was very much damaged.
Right.
So then you get into the spectrum of all kinds of very complex surgeries with a deep lift and I don't know, with big stitches in your belly or your butt. I don't want that, because I'm getting some tissue from another place in my body and replace it for what?
Mm-hmm.
I was very much convinced I want to recover. I want to recover fast. I want to get on with my life.
Exactly.
And healthy again. Of course, it's also about your identity as a woman. But I must say, in at least the first weeks, this was completely not on my mind.
No, I guess you're in the higher on the survival and recovering thing, right? The aesthetics or even the psychology behind having breasts or not is perhaps almost a luxury at that moment, right? You really are focusing on the most important thing. We are not defined by our breasts, and we cheat enough as it is, right? With the breast implants or breast reductions or padded bras or whatsoever. And you're not going for any of that either, are you?
No. For me, it's like flat as it is. And of course, you don't know how you will respond after surgery. I mean, when you think about it, you can be very convinced, but it might be different when you wake up from your surgery and being, kind of that, etc. So I was worried, of course, also like, how will I respond?
Yes.
Will I stick to my decision also afterwards? Because it's also like a phase of saying goodbye and bidding farewell to your own body.
Yeah. But you said that you had a holiday just before, right, where we were somewhere warm and you could really, fully be aware of that part of your body and to say a very loving thank you and goodbye,
Yeah,
right?
really being very aware of the fact that, okay, this is the last time I feel the water of the sea on my breast and I feel the sun. I've expected it to be more emotional. It was not.
It was not.
No. And I must, up till now, I'm very happy with my decision. And I don't even want to, compensate or correct something.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to share this, but I remember you even jokingly saying that maybe you'll have the other one taken off. Like that, you can be in balance, right?
Exactly. And I mean, it also, it's very comfy, being very sportive, because
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
happy that
I mean, you do have the chance that you're extremely slim and very tall. So, I
yes,
mean, it's not very noticeable. I mean, I would say it's not noticeable at all.
I think that also helps a lot.
How did your children react to this?
Well, they're very, down to earth. And I think it's helpful. It sounds weird, but that it's the second time. So
Yes.
their first response was like, well, mommy, you don't have to be sad, you won't die of it. So it sounds a bit harsh, but I'm very happy,
Yeah.
that
Well, they
they
have that from
did
you as well, yeah.
mindset,
Yeah.
that the kids are not too concerned or
Right.
afraid, because they need their own energy. And I'm very
Right.
glad.
But that's thanks to you, right? That's thanks
Yes,
to your insight. If you were, crying and feeling devastated the whole time, the children would take their cue. And I mean, we say this is after 50, but you're a young 50, right? So
yeah,
the second time was at 51, right?
exactly.
And you do have two young girls still, very young.
Yeah.
So what tips would you have? Because I know also you had the possibility of doing this as a trajectory afterwards, right? Which was quite heavy duty. And you decided, no, I would like to more look at alternative medicine and healing, which is also a huge decision to have to make as a person. So maybe can you extrapolate a little bit on why you made that decision?
Yeah, well, I mean, the surgery, of course, is one part of the whole phase, right, that you're going through. And I think maybe that is also the easiest, sounds weird, but it's like a very technical
Yes. And you
surgery.
don't have decisions to make, really. You're in their hands. You trust the specialists.
Yeah, but then they could not confirm for 100% that I was all clean. So then starts the discussion about, so what's next? And then you have all kinds of options, and they're very invasive and long-term medication or treatment with injections on a monthly basis. Lasts for I don't know how long.
And probably have side effects as well.
A lot of side effects of the new anti-hormonal pills that
Right.
would be heavier than the ones I had for the first time. And then the chances that everything would be detected and removed out of my body was very, very, very small. It was like
Okay.
3% in my case. So when you look to what it takes, to go into the hospital on a weekly basis and to have your injections and to take the pills with all these side effects, and then the 3%, for me, then the quality of life was much more important. But it's, of course, a difficult
It's a huge decision to have
decision
to take. Yeah.
because, one day you're stronger than the other day. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, you have these discussions also within your family.
Right.
One of my children was like, no, mommy, but I want you to do everything that's possible,
Oh.
even for the 3%. And the other ones were like, yeah, but I also understand the fact of the quality of life.
What an open discussion with such young children.
No, it was wonderful because they were so much, not so much, but they were older than the first time, and they really could think about it. And we were
Yeah.
open about it, not in a too emotional, heavy way,
No. Yeah.
being very transparent.
And at least they were involved, instead of having the feeling of all this secrecy and people whispering in the corners, it's all very open.
No. And they also actually, because you just said, like, making your choices and how do the children respond? I mean, and one day I was organizing my lingerie drawer, and then my oldest was like, mommy, but you can throw them away. You don't need them. And then she said, and you know what? You're more than a breast.
Oh,
So,
wow.
okay, you're 11 years old, and you're giving
Wow.
this feedback.
But wonderful insights for them to have as they go through life as well.
But I think, it was for me recovering soon, no further complications with other surgeries, etc. But also the fact that you want to give a certain good example to your children, that
Yeah.
you don't need to be dependent on cosmetic
Yeah.
things, or you're, as a person, you're good as it is.
Now, that's a powerful message nowadays, right? Because I mean, they're growing up, your daughters are growing up with all of this, social media around them and this perfect body and fixing the pictures. And it's pretty harsh to have to live up to that.
Yeah, and I'm convinced that I want to give this example to the children here at home, but also to many women at work. I mean,
Mm,
it's visible, them one-sided flat. You don't see it that much, but people know
yeah.
it. And I think it's also like a strong message, support to people that are going through anything.
Yeah. But that's the reason you're here as well. I mean, you're a very public person and a very wonderful job, etc. This is really a very intimate and vulnerable topic which you are really opening out there, and I mean, and also sharing with other people as well, because I know you've spoken with my friend at the Natural Health Center about looking into health sort of care circles for people with cancer or recovering from cancer. And I
Yeah,
think the more we talk about it, the less scary it is. You don't have to fight on your own with all your fears, but that you can see people like you who are through this episode as well in an honest way, with the vulnerability, but also with you have a choice of how to go about it and how to involve your family and
yeah.
children and
But I think
partner.
that is so true, what you say. You have a choice. And
Mm,
I think also because it's a shock as such. Being diagnosed with cancer, it's a shock for everyone. And then the risk is that you're being drawn into this tunnel of medical
yeah,
information, and where you might not have any headspace to look into other options as well.
right,
And I think it also, the fact that I lived abroad, also in Palestine, opens up also the medical side a bit, because what we do here, and I have a large confidence in our doctors here, but it is one way of looking
right, yes,
to the health issue.
right,
And the fact that you have to look for it yourself, you have to go out and to meet people like Sandra at the health center to discover your own options.
right,
I think that's still a pity, and it's a loss for many people, because when you're
yeah,
overwhelmed with what is happening to me, or what is the impact on your family, you don't have that much energy or
yeah.
headspace to look into your options. And I would hope, and I would wish for many people, that the more natural side and the medical side would be more
More
connected.
together. And thankfully, there is more and more, but it is maybe they're getting closer, the two worlds, but it is still very much two worlds. So, yes, well, that's what I hope for us too, then, that we have a more sort of holistic package which is offered to us at that moment of making decisions. Simona, I thank you for this. Do you have any tips or any recommendations you would give to anybody listening who's either just been diagnosed with cancer or who's considering, which treatment to take or reconstruction or not?
Well, I think the most important thing is that I would hope that people have a peace of mind in which they can look into different options, and take the time to look into different options, talk to different doctors, whether it's on the more alternative side. I think there is so much more possible. And I think it also gives you a lot of confidence and inner peace when you've done your homework. So
Right. And for you, it was clear which out of the many then also alternative paths that one can take. Was it clear to you which one?
no, because it's overwhelming, when
Yeah.
you go out there, and the more you talk to people, one person helps you with mushrooms, and then the other one is like, no, you should do this. So I'm very happy that you connected me to Sandra, because I think the power of the health center is that there are many
Yeah.
different ways of treating people, the joint force.
It's all together, that's right.
It's all
Together, they show you a bit what we were saying about the medical, if only that could be also included in it, that you're given a menu and that together you look, well, what is most suited to your specific case, to your lifestyle, to what you believe in, etc. And there we are, Sandra, a little bit of added, she isn't even aware of this, but we're talking about the Natural Health Center in Scheveningen. We may as well throw that in there. It's a holistic center where they do have very many different branches of holistic medicine together.
And that was very helpful, because there you can then also test a bit the water, what works for me and what not, all in one place. I mean, yeah, of course you can go out there and try everything, but yeah, it's nice that there is like one link in between.
Right, exactly.
Doing.
Because that is the problem. It's not even so much not finding information, it's just there is so much information out there. And we're talking about our health, we're talking about our life. This is not, which television should I buy or whatever. We're talking about something which is really vital, and you're already overwhelmed enough knowing that, you're sick or recovering from something. So thank you. Thank you so much, because, you really are a model. You're a spearhead out here talking about something. I've never heard anybody talk about this before. So thank you for being willing to share it here. Good luck with your journey. Good luck with all the holistic health, etc. And to those of you listening, know that you are not alone. There are alternatives out there, and there are people who are fully there in order to support you. All the very, very best. Thank you, Simona. The rest of you, speak to you again this time next week.
Thank you so much.